There is no situation, none, that exists where layoffs will not be a part of the solution here. None.
If you'd like to come forward, Mr. Mayor, we just introduced the context for your visit. We very much appreciate you being here and coming to talk to the council. And here you are. If I could ask, please, our council chambers to
All right, yes, please, if we could have some quiet in the chambers and welcome Mayor Villaraigosa
come
to the podium.
if you want, if I could ask folks, please, to
Okay, and if we
maintain their
could show
respect.
some respect, please. If you would please keep your voices down. This is freedom and democracy, and we respect each other's opinions even when we don't agree. So please show respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I am here today because based on the best estimate of the CAO and the CLA, the budget committee leaders and the EERC, we will not be able to meet our obligations sometime in the summer if we don't act now. I agree with you 100%. That ultimately revenues have to be part of the equation. You don't move quickly to reduce the size of the workforce. We will be compelled to lay off people in even greater numbers in the future. And I want to be as clear as possible. The layoffs that I've ordered are just the beginning unless we make these decisions now. There is no situation, none, that exists where layoffs will not be a part of the solution here. None. Layoffs will be a part of the resolution of this 3-year deficit. Now, that's the clarification. As has been mentioned here, there are revenue options, there are collection options, there are consolidation, there's cuts that we could take, there are pension changes that we could make that can reduce that number greatly.
Right.
But in the end, layoffs are going to be a part. Respect to the newspapers, you know, I wish I could write those headlines, those editorials, but or even what are right under the headlines? What are the subheads? You know, and I wish I could put my byline to some of them. You know, I was amazed that there was such an effort to pit the council with the mayor. And the fact is, I'm here today.
And what are options if you don't manage the city well?
Okay. I'm glad that you were surgical in I am personally liable. Should the city ever be in a position where we could not meet our obligations, but I make these proposals not just because I'm personally liable. I think we all feel liable here. I make these decisions because of the urgency of these times and because I recognize that not being in that position, that being in the position of not being able to meet our obligations is an untenable and unacceptable position to be in. What happens, in answer to your question, should we be in that position? There would be others who would make those decisions for us.
Right.
I am not prepared, and I know this body is not prepared. You've all spoken eloquently to it. I am not prepared to cede that authority to anyone, even if it means that some will vilify me and these decisions. I recognize that I've got a great job and that there's a big responsibility that comes with this great job, and I am prepared to move ahead. But even if I were to move ahead on these and other layoffs, unless we act together as quickly as possible to avoid the magnitude of these layoffs, to implement the decisions that need to take place to bring in the revenue around convention center, parking meters, parking garages, the 218 issues that I guess Councilmember Alarcon spoke to, I'm prepared to get behind some of those. Even if it means, Mr. Zine, that some people are going to take umbrage with that. I think we've got to look at all of those things. But to be clear, yes, layoffs have to be a part of, just because of the magnitude of the problem ahead. Yes, if we were ever in a position that I believe we will never be in, but if we were ever in that position, I am personally liable, and importantly, other people will make those decisions for us. Okay. Remember, you all made you all made those tough decisions when we cut 400 of the $500 million deficit that we're facing. Then revenues went down 185 million from what they were projected. We found that out in December. That's when we got together on an emergency basis. We decided on an ERIP, and it was the best way to go under the circumstances. We cannot. That was last year's deficit that we addressed. We're still not, in fact, the original deficit. Now that deficit has grown, and next year's deficit is still looming, and we're all going to have to go back. And we're going and I think the gravamen of your question, we took too long. We all took too long. They took too long in their negotiations and saying no to virtually everything. We took too long in not making a tough decision. And what I'm saying in resolving this year's deficit and next year's, we cannot afford to let time continue to be our enemy. We have to act decisively, and act now.